Afternoon, Gerard. How are you?
Afternoon, Peter. Lovely to meet you.
Likewise, Gerard. Welcome to the NI Business Podcast. Thanks very much for sharing the time to chat with me today.
No,
Good
thanks
to
for having
start in
me.
the sunshine. It has to be said.
Yeah, we
It's
don't
not
often get this, do we? Yeah.
predictable sunshine. We do get
Yeah.
sunshine occasionally, but predictable sunshine, we don't
Yes.
get that often. So could we start, Gerard? Could you tell me a little about yourself, your background, and your business, please?
Well, I guess I'm just a little country boy, and I was one of those kids who always liked to fiddle, tinker, dismantle things, understand, try to figure out how they worked, and then sometimes even get to put them back together again. Yeah. So I went through then a career in technology engineering and spent many years working abroad, working in first England, then Asia, some time in South America, and then more recently in the Middle East. And now I'm back where it all began and back where I'd like to think I belong. And so here we are back in sunny Oman.
Yes. So what brought you back to Northern Ireland? What was the decision that brought you back?
So we always wanted to start a new business, and we felt that we could have started, and we had some ideas in the fintech space, and we think that Northern Ireland has a phenomenal talent pool. So it has a phenomenal, it has a phenomenal uh, high-tech talent pool. Yeah, yeah. Obviously, the Republic has a great talent pool as well, but there's a lot more propensity for those talent to be poached and to cost a fortune of money. And we felt that in the north, we get the best of both worlds. We have a super young, articulate, workforce, and we have an incredible. We see ourselves as like a technology business at our core, so we see a lot of talent potential here. And also,
And
it's home. It's home.
well, absolutely. And is this what you envisage doing? Has this been in the pipeline for some time?
Yes, I guess you know that I didn't grow up dreaming of making a kind of like a personal finance app that the one that we're kind of making now, but it's been in brewing for quite a few years. Like myself and my two co-founders have been talking and ideas around this space for 5, 6 years now. But it was the emergence of AI that we really felt unlocked it and felt that this is the right time to do something now. And if we don't do something now, we will kind of miss this important, inflection point. We'll miss this important new wave.
So, Jared, help me understand a little about your target market. Who benefits most from working with you?
Let me explain what we do first, Peter. Yeah, so we're trying to build an AI-based personal finance app. And the idea is that it should feel, maybe Peter, you've got a smart aleck friend who always seems to know everything about money. There's always a guy who knows everything about something, but there's always one guy who knows all the best deals, how to save money, how to spend in the most cost-effective way. And we're trying to build an AI product that feels like your best friend, so it feels like a human personality, but it's always got your best interests at heart and always gives you the right kind of smart thing to do with your money. And in that regard, our kind of key users. So we're like a lot of tech businesses, like Google and Facebook, we're kind of a two-sided business. On one side, we have users, and then on the other side, we have the paying people. The people who pay so the service will be free to the users, but paid for by corporates and affiliates and other institutions. So on the user side, we're kind of addressing young adults in the age range 18 to 30, young people who are kind of driven and smart, but at the same time are kind of overwhelmed and kind of very skeptical of traditional money advice. Yeah? So we think young people these days have a much more challenging kind of financial outlook than we would have had growing up in our generation.
Mm.
And that demographic is very open to AI. It's not like a lot of the older demographic is kind of like super scared of this AI nonsense, whereas young people are not just open to it, but are very eager to embrace it. They're eager to embrace it for even things like therapy, because they feel that AIs are very non-judgmental. And actually, there's a lot of people have a lot of negative feelings around money, the feelings of shame and guilt, and oh, why did I spend that? Where did it all go? That kind of thing. So people are very open to discussing their kind of money situation in a very kind of honest way with a non-judgmental kind of AI personality. So that's on the user side. Also, like our target, or mostly it seems to skew female for some reason. We don't know why, but it seems as though young women are more interested in learning about money than young men. And then on the other side, the people who will be paying the bills will be corporates and affiliates who want to introduce their products and services to our community. And also, we see a significant opportunity with financial institutions who want to turn young people into long-term savers and investors.
That sounds fascinating. And if you think about your business journey, Gerard,
Yeah.
what would be the biggest lesson that you've had along the way?
My biggest lesson, well, I think I would think that it's very easy for things to get super, super complicated, yeah. And I would say the biggest lesson is that simplicity beats complexity. Although simplicity is by no means easy. I've always really admired, Steve Jobs, who was the master of simplifying things. I'm sure you know the famous story when he came back to Apple, he chopped the product range back down to 4 products. He did a kind of a swear word to describe what he did there. But I think it's really hard to simplify things. But simplifying things, it's very difficult to get anything done. But by simplifying, you really help people understand, and you really help people get on board, and you really help people focus. And I think that's one. And I think you can have the best of tech, but if you don't have a clear focus on the problem you're trying to solve and how you're trying to solve it, then you're likely to dissipate all your kind of efforts fruitlessly.
Yeah, that's a great share, and yeah, it's great reference to Apple's story. And even if you think of Gordon Ramsay and his kitchen nightmares, I've yet to see him do one where he says you need to put more things on the menu. It's always less, always less.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What about yourself, Gerard? What have you learned about yourself along the way?
Well, I don't know if I've realized that maybe I always use I'm much too impatient, yeah, and that sometimes you need to make haste slowly, yeah, that it pays to invest the time in bringing people along with you, yeah, and that sometimes that you can make more progress as the tortoise rather than the hare, yeah. And sometimes you just need to trust the process, have the discipline, and grind it out. So don't be so demanding, don't be so impatient. You gotta just work it through, keep working the problem, yeah.
And who other than Steve Jobs, who's been your biggest influence? Who's influenced you along the way?
So I would say business-wise. So first of all, my mom and dad, yeah, although they weren't business people, but they gave me an ethos. And one of the things they would say is leave the mark of your hand on it. By which, I don't know if that's an Ulsterism, but by which they meant, do a good job, leave the mark of your hand on it, do something you're proud of, and have a reputation for doing the right thing and doing a good job. And that's always felt really important to me. Yeah? And then secondly, I think my first boss, my first job was in one of these fancy R&D labs with all these kind of egghead guys. But my first boss, well, it was a fantastic way, I think, to start a career. It was a genuine meritocracy, and my first boss would hammer me constantly. You come along, you come out of university, you think you're so smart and all the rest of it, and he would hammer me, why? And you think, why are you doing that? Give me the fundamentals. Go back to first principles. Really understand what are the facts behind this, and it really taught me to think for yourself, think from first principles, and make sure you are confident in your fact, and then move forward on that basis.
And what about if you think of now, other than the 15 hours a day of guaranteed sunshine, what is it that gets you out of bed in the morning and drives your passion for your business?
So not the sunshine, but I would say, that since a kid, I've just loved making things. And that could be anything from an IKEA shelf to building, this app that we're building now. I think there's just a real sense of satisfaction, a real sense of joy in looking back and seeing that you've built something that's, and I think there's a real sense of joy in the idea, not just that you create something, but that you create something that helps people and that helps people in both practical and emotional ways. I tend to think, money stress is one of these kind of real invisible kind of, things that really kind of drags on a lot of people. And the fact that we can help some people a little bit with that is kind of inspiring.
And what if in the unlikely event that you were stranded on a desert island and you could have a book or listen to a podcast or both, if you like, yeah, what
Yeah.
would you choose?
Book-wise, I'd try and take a book that you could reread over and over and over and over again. So I love a book called Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor. He was the most powerful man in the world, yeah, and he was a kind of a demigod, and that's a position, position of power. Power corrupts, but no, he was determined to be a good man. That emperor job so easily could have turned into Nero, Caligula, one of those crazy tyrants.
Hmm.
But Meditations is his personal diary, never intended for publication, but it's his thoughts on how to live a better life, how to be a better person. And I think it's a really kind of inspiring book. It's actually now very popular again with for some reason technology people, the whole Stoic philosophy and especially meditations is super popular. And then podcast wise, my favorite is the All In podcast, if you're familiar with that one. It's a group of 4 or 5 Silicon Valley tech insiders. Actually, most of them are now billionaires. They are all real experts. They've all really been in the business. And a lot of podcasts are a host interviewing a guest, whereas the All In is a genuine conversation between experts. And so they're really, and what I like about it are 2 things. First of all, it's a real debate. They are the best of friends, but they have enormous difference of opinions, both on business and on politics. And I think it's in the current world, it's great to see a situation where people can disagree, fundamentally on the issue, but still be really great friends. It's kind of like someone used to tell me you should play the ball, but not the man. And I think it's a perfect example of friends who can talk and have different opinions without falling out with each other. And uh, it's a conversation of equals and also super funny. So that's kind of why I like that one.
I'll give that one a go. I've never listened to that one. Superb. What about, tell me what's the biggest challenge that you're currently facing in your business?
So all of them. So we have so like with a startup business, you have so many challenges, and I guess trying to do all the things that we're trying to do in the limited budget and the limited time we have available. But then specifically, of course, at this early stage, we're trying to achieve what they call product market fit, and that means a lot of iteration. And really, the big challenge is how we can accelerate that iteration, how we can accelerate how we learn from customers, analyze what's important to customers, prioritize that in the development pipeline, get that back out to customers, how we can accelerate that so we're constantly learning and constantly delivering and making sure that we really deliver something that's valuable to our customers.
And what about if you could invite any 3 people to a dinner party? Who would you invite?
So I'll just try to put together a good combo. And so first of all, Anthony Bourdain, do you know Anthony Bourdain?
Yeah.
Anthony Bourdain, he's coming because he's a great chef. So he's both talking and cooking, yeah. But
Yeah,
I
you get a
love,
double win there, the raconteur and the food sorted. Yeah.
yeah, he's a great storyteller, but I love the way that he is an explorer, an adventurer. He's very curious about all the different cultures and places that he visits. He's super non-judgmental, and he's very intelligent, very insightful. I think he's a great conversational. It's kind of super sad how he passed away in the end, but he would be great. Secondly, a local boy made good. I don't know if you know Patrick Collinson of Stripe fame. So he was the founder of Stripe, now a huge and still massively growing tech company. It's taken, America, taken the world by storm. Yeah. He has, he's a very intelligent, very well read, very articulate person. He has lots of thoughts on tech and business and on the world in general. Yeah. And I really like the fact that he has sponsored or is funding a research institute that's, I think it's called the ARC Institute, but it's purely curiosity-driven research. A lot of scientific research these days, it's just a lot of bureaucracy and form fillings, and they have to get the government to do this stuff. But he says they're just trying to get himself and his brother John, just trying to get the best scientists. What are the subjects that you find really interesting? And we'll pay you to study those. And so the third guest would be a scientist. He'd be a guy called Nick Lane. I don't know if you know him. He's a biologist, biotech guy, but he is a fantastic communicator of science. Not in that kind of dumbed down, sometimes BBC. I love the BBC, but sometimes they can dumb things down. But he can explain the most complicated science in beautiful prose. And uh, I think also biology is going through will go through a golden era now because AI is one of the few technologies that can really help understand the massive complexity of the human body. So I think himself, Patrick Collinson, who is the ultimate techie, and Anthony Bourdain as kind of as the moderator or kind of like a compere would be make for a fantastic dinner conversation.
Superb. I love that mix. Very good. And what about if you could go back in time, Gerard, and give some advice to your 18-year-old self? What would that sound like?
So back in the day, it was all go, 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 go. It was all, exams, university, job. And I would tell myself, in those days, you're very outcome driven. You got to do this and then the next step and then the next step. I would say enjoy the process. Learn to enjoy the process more than the outcome. Learn to enjoy the process of learning. Learn that every day, everybody has got something to teach you. Yeah, that either you're winning or you're learning. You don't have to be focused on just getting the outcome. Just enjoy the process of learning. I think that's
Yeah,
kind of
I
like
love, I
mostly.
love that. And for anybody listening, that is such a powerful share. You never lose, you win or you learn. And yeah, absolutely. It's a great mindset to have. Well, what about looking forward now instead of looking back? So 5 years down the line, 2030, as it will be, what does Trustie look like then?
Well, I would love to think that Trustee would be the go-to place for young people when they think about money. Hey, that's where I know I'm going to go. Or actually, I would rather hope that Trustee would come to them, would be more proactive, that they believe that we are constantly, we're constantly helping them. I would hope by that point in time we have helped millions of people, not just be more organized with their money, but genuinely feel better about their money, that we have done something good and spread a little joy in the world.
Very good, very good. And if someone likes what they've heard, Gerard, and would like to reach out and get in touch, what would be the best way for them to go about that?
They can either reach me on email, gerard@trusty.co.uk, or on LinkedIn. You can find me on Gerard Mac Namee on LinkedIn. I don't think there are too many Gerard Mac Namees on LinkedIn, but you can find me there.
Now that you've said that, now there's guaranteed to be at least five of them. Oh, very good. Well, look, Gerard Mac Namee from Trustie, thank you so much for chatting with me today. It's sounds like a fascinating business and very exciting as well. So I look forward to seeing Trustie take over the world and hopefully help a couple of my kids along the line with a bit of financial stuff down there. So so Gerard, look, thanks very much. I wish you and the business every success. Thanks very much.
It's been a pleasure, Peter. Thank you for having me.